News as we come on the air, we have learned about the last words of Pope Francis, what he asked about, and what played out during the final moments of his life. Tonight, the global outpouring for Pope Francis now lying in the open wooden casket, the simple casket he asked for. The Swiss Guard standing watch in his chapel in his modest residence. The Vatican describing his final moments, what he asked about before that last surprise appearance in St. Peter's Square. The question to his nurse just before greeting thousands of followers. Then hours later, his last words and his parting gesture to his nurse. Also tonight here, what we're now learning about the conclave, the cardinals, and that secret ritual to elect a new pope. How long could it take, and what we know about those who will vote already. James Longman standing by live at the Vatican tonight. The other news this Tuesday night, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth fiercely dismissing reports that he discussed sensitive details.
Imagine waking up to a world where the voice of one of the most influential spiritual leaders has just fallen silent, where global economic fears collide with political turmoil, and even your favorite foods and the very air you breathe face sudden, dramatic change. Tonight, from the Vatican's quiet grief to a fiery crisis in America's backyard to urgent warnings about your family's dinner table, we ask, are we ready for the profound transformations unfolding before our eyes? Stay with us as we dive into the stories shaking the world tonight. Good evening, and welcome to our in-depth nightly news roundup, where we bring you the stories shaping our world, from the corridors of the Vatican to the heart of the United States and across the globe. Tonight's broadcast covers the profound final moments of Pope Francis, a deep dive into Vatican traditions, breaking news from the Pentagon, urgent warnings about the U.S. economy, updates on a gripping Boston murder trial, a major move in food safety regulation, fast-moving wildfires in the Northeast, and a unique look at the natural world in honor of Earth Day. The world mourns Pope Francis's passing. Tributes from all over reflect the global impact of his leadership. He now rests in a simple casket, watched over by the Swiss Guard in his modest chapel.
Tonight, the stark warning about President Trump's tariffs and the U.S. economy, the International Monetary Fund, and their warning tonight, what they're now forecasting when it comes to the economy. And late today, the huge blow to Elon Musk's Tesla profits in the first 3 months of this year, down 71%. And what Elon Musk said just moments ago to investors, and what he's also saying about President Trump's tariffs. Tonight, the case making national headlines in Boston, the second murder trial of Karen Reed now underway. Accused of running down her boyfriend in her SUV, a Boston police officer. Her defense team says she's being framed, and in a rare move, Karen Reed has brought on an alternate juror from her first trial to serve as part of her defense team. Tonight, the dyes that color so much of the food on the shelves at your grocery store. Tonight, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. now planning to phase out 8 artificial food dyes.
The Vatican shared details of his final hours. Before his last public appearance, Francis asked his nurse, "Do you think I can manage it?" After greeting followers, he thanked her for bringing him back. After an emotional farewell, Francis had a quiet dinner and went to bed. By early morning, his health worsened. At 6:30 a.m., he made a final gesture to his nurse. At 7:35 a.m., he passed away across the globe. People grieve his loss. In Rome, long lines will form as people visit St. Peter's Basilica to pay respects over 3 days. His funeral is set for Saturday at 10 a.m. local time. Attention now turns to the Vatican, where over 100 cardinals will soon gather for the secretive conclave to elect a new pope. With black or white smoke signaling the outcome, debates are ongoing on whether to continue Francis's legacy or take a new direction. We met visitors from Washington, D.C., who spoke about Francis's unique ability to connect with regular people, his openness, and their hopes for the future of the Church. One expressed the wish for a more conservative successor, underscoring the range of expectations facing.
Tonight with the last words of Pope Francis, what he asked about and what played out during the final moments of his life. Tonight, Pope Francis now lying in the open wooden casket, the simple casket that he asked for. The funeral we now know will be on Saturday morning, 10 a.m. local time there at the Vatican, 4 a.m. here in the U.S. I'll be at the Vatican with our team, and of course, we'll carry it live for you right here in the United States. Pope Francis, seen for the first time since his death Monday morning, lying in this simple coffin, the one that he chose, at the chapel of the Santa Maria residence where he lived. The Swiss Guard standing guard. Tomorrow, the pontiff will be carried to St. Peter's Basilica at the Vatican, where he will lay for 3 days for the public to now pay their respects. Cardinals from around the world are now gathering at the Vatican to plan the funeral, and then, of course, the conclave, the secret ancient ritual in the Sistine Chapel, where the Pope's successor will be named. The Vatican describing tonight the Pope's final
The
moments.
conclave. The process will begin just a few days after the funeral, and historically, the appearance of the new Pope on the balcony occurs about an hour after the white smoke rises. It's a dramatic moment watched by millions worldwide, a moment that marks the beginning of a new chapter for one of the world's oldest institutions. In the U.S., Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth denies claims he shared sensitive military details. In a private signal chat with his wife, brother, and lawyer, he says messages were unclassified, but 3 aides were removed, and the Pentagon remains on edge amid the growing controversy. Aides deny wrongdoing, with one calling the situation personally devastating. A former Pentagon spokesperson says the department is in disarray. Meanwhile, officials confirm Hegseth received attack plans through secure military channels, as standard protocol requires. The International Monetary Fund warns that Trump's tariffs could stall global growth, hitting the U.S. especially hard. April is shaping up to be Wall Street's worst since 1936, even as the White House reassures that a deal with China is near. The president remains publicly optimistic, but private. Sources reveal the talks with China are moving slowly. Tesla also reports a 71% drop in profits. CEO Elon Musk blames political instability and says he'll shift his focus back to Tesla while urging tariff cuts. A headline-grabbing case is back in court in Boston. Karen Reed is standing trial a second time, accused of killing her boyfriend, a Boston police officer, by allegedly running him over with her SUV after a party. The first jury couldn't reach a verdict, and the case has divided the community. Prosecutors allege that Red, angry and intoxicated, struck her boyfriend outside another officer's home and left him to die in the snow. The defense maintains that Reed is being framed and claims the victim was beaten inside the house and later left outside. In a rare legal strategy, the defense has brought on an alternate juror from the previous trial to help argue for Reed's innocence.
Shared over Signal, then and now, however you characterize it, was informal, unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things. That's what I've said from the beginning.
But at the Pentagon, there is growing alarm. 3 of Hegseth's hand-picked senior aides escorted out of the building accused of leaking, and a former spokesman saying the building is in total disarray.
Disgruntled former employees are peddling things to try to save their ass.
But those aides all denied leaking, and one of them, Dan Caldwell, a former Marine who came to the Pentagon with Hegseth after working for him at a veterans organization, says he's dismayed by the whole situation.
I've been a friend and supporter of Pete Hegseth for a long time, and I'm just personally devastated by this.
And David, tonight officials telling us that those attack plans Hegseth shared were sent to him.
With both sides determined to shape the narrative in their favor. In a major move for food safety, Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has announced plans to phase out 8 artificial food dyes, found in countless products from candies to snacks, by the end of 2026. This decision follows long-standing debates about the health effects of these dyes and could reshape the appearance and formulation of many beloved brands. Questions remain about what these foods will look and taste like after the dyes are gone, and whether companies will find suitable alternatives. We're also following urgent developments in the Northeast, where a massive wildfire is spreading rapidly across Ocean County, New Jersey. Over 1,200 acres have already burned, and mandatory evacuations are underway. Major highways are closed as firefighters battle the blaze, and shifting weather conditions are making the situation even more volatile. There's also a story of justice, forgiveness, and social media in Philadelphia. Eagles star A.J. Brown went public after his car was stolen, promising not to press charges if the vehicle was returned. Thanks to a combination of Brown's plea and swift action from local police, the stolen Mercedes was found, and a suspect was apprehended. It's a reminder of how quickly situations can change, and how the public and authorities can work together for a positive resolution.